I had 10 questions. There were simple questions, simple, not easy. There were simple, powerful, deep questions. So what's your dream? What's your vision? This kind of big questions. So it was always the same 10 questions. And in the end, it was really hard to figure out how to put those interviews together. And as I said in the beginning, I thought that I didn't have any message to share. It was just me collecting those answers. And within that 7 years, I realized that actually what makes this book really valuable is my story that connects all those stories. So it became more my hero's journey of, setting out on this journey of writing this book about Unthinkable, which my journey of not having an idea of writing a book was unthinkable.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter, podcast for authors. And today I have someone who's joining me outside of the country. I live here in Canada, and I'm so excited to have someone from another side of the world. It's so exciting as a podcaster that you get to meet great people and connect through a microphone and a camera over the internet and get to meet great people. So today's no exception. Marcel's here with me. Marcel, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. So great to have you here. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave. It's a great pleasure.
Excellent. Okay, so tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours.
So guys, authors, writers, listeners, I'm based in southeastern part of Switzerland. Very close to Davos, which is where the World Economic Forum was held just this week. So maybe you heard of that. So I'm just in the very beautiful Swiss Alps, surrounded by mountains, and I just went skiing this weekend, just a few minutes from my home.
Wow. Okay, so when I hear Switzerland, I think I hear of, we have commercials here in Canada. We have Ricola, the lozenge for your throat. And they do the Ricola, they sing that, right? So I have that in my head. Yeah, and then the other thing, here in Canada, we have a thing called Swiss Chalet. Have you ever heard of Swiss Chalet before?
Yeah, we have chalets in Switzerland, in the mountains usually.
So this is a restaurant called Swiss Chalet, and they serve chicken.
No, we don't have that.
So in Canada, we have them, and they're a great little restaurant in Canada. I don't know why Swiss Chalet would be a chicken restaurant. I have no idea why. Are chickens like very popular in Switzerland? I have no idea.
Not especially. I think Switzerland is more famous for the chocolate and cheese fondue and raclette, but not right. Okay, not for chicken. I'm not sure.
Thank you for clarifying and clearing that up for me, because I have no idea why that's the name of the restaurant. But it's so good. So if you come to Canada anytime, I'm going to take you to Swiss Chalet. Okay?
Yes.
And you can go in there and go, what is going on here? Why are you doing this? So, okay, I will take you there.
Great.
I love it. Marcel, tell me a little bit more about your author journey. How did this all start for you? One day you're not an author, and now you are. Something happened between the time when you were not an author and today. How did all this start for you to become an author?
Yes, so for me, it was a personal journey, like for everyone out there probably who writes a book. So we experienced a tragic family death. A member of the family passed away when she was very young in a tragic accident. And this really shocked the whole family. And me, I was sitting at the funeral, surrounded by people mourning. And I was thinking to myself, why are some people so successful and fulfilled, and other people are merely existing? So just stuck in their tracks. So this shocking event really started me to ask bigger question. And from that question, this turned into a book a few months later. I wanted to reach out to 1,000 people and interview them about success and fulfillment, and what's the difference? Why are some people so fulfilled and other people not? So that's what started my journey as an author.
Wow. Okay, so our family just in the last few months have lost somebody special as well. And I have the same experience sitting at the funeral, looking at all the friends and family gathering around. And it's like a funeral is like a big reset button where before that, we're just going to work, doing our day to day. Everybody's doing their routine. And when something like tragic happens, it's like everybody stops for a moment in time. And it's like a big button that people push. And it's like a reset where you start thinking about your life. You start thinking about your family. You start thinking about your future, the fact that we're all human and that someday somebody's going to come to our funeral someday. It's very sobering to be sitting in that space, in that environment. Tell me a little bit more about, but when it's a tragic thing, it's a totally different thing as well. Tell me more about what you were feeling in that room that kind of helped spark you to write this book.
Yeah, so it's something special when a young person died that is maybe in the middle of life or in the beginning of life, just before wanting to get married and having, building a family and all that. That was really shocking. And it was not really a funeral. It was more a farewell event that we watched a movie of her travels around the world with 3-second segments of each location. And so it was about, she was drinking caipirinha in Brasilia. She was climbing Mantu, I forgot the name, Mantu Picchu. And, and she was flying with the helicopter over Nepali coast. So all of this, and it was such a contrast, such a harsh contrast to what happened, just within seconds gone. And so I thought to myself, who would even show up to my funeral? What does it all mean? What's kind of the legacy? What do I leave my kids with when I leave just now? Or what do people say about me? So it was more a reflection about myself and what I have achieved in my life. And so when you're faced with mortality, you have, like any outside events, you have two choices. You can either say, poor me, why does it happen to me? Why does it happen to the family? Or you can create something out of this pain, out of this sorrow. And I'm not saying that I'm a hero, but I chose the latter, to create something. And it started with this simple question. And then a few months later, so this was in November, actually in January already, I started thinking about it. And the idea came to me, and it was called Achievers, 1,000 Ways to Success and Fulfillment. And I really wanted to interview 1,000 people. I don't know why this number, but it was just how it happened. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what did you learn about yourself in writing? Had you been a writer before this? Have you ever written anything else before? Like, how did you what made you different in the process of writing this book?
So the process of writing this book was about me reaching out to people I thought were really successful and fulfilled. So my assumption was that I didn't have the answers, and other people that have achieved success and have achieved fulfillment, they had all the answers. So I put those people on pedestals. That was my assumption at this time, that you have to be successful to be fulfilled. That was the assumption. And through the process of starting interviewing those people, I realized one big lesson is that actually those people are not so different than me. We are all from the same cloth. Maybe they have a special skill in some area. Maybe they're like one person, Simon Whitfield, he's Olympic champion in triathlon from Canada. He was the first Olympic champion in triathlon. It was in the year 2000 that they started having triathlon in the Olympics, and he was the first one that got a gold medal. And of course, wow. He has a special skills. He's a really good athlete, so he won the medal. But otherwise, he's the same. He's a human being like me. So he goes through separation and divorce. He experiences loss. He has failures like everyone else. So I realized actually we are all pretty similar. And I found that my journey of writing a book was a journey to myself. I realized that actually I had a voice, I have my experience, I have the wisdom. And certainly it's not about success. It's more about living your authentic self, to live your best life, to live an extraordinary life. Is more about the choice. Everyone can decide to live an extraordinary life and step outside of their boxes, their comfort zone.
So, okay, do you think there's a difference between a pedestal, like putting somebody up high in a pedestal, or a platform, being like, for example, being an author gives you this opportunity that we've connected? Had you not been an author, we might not be meeting each other. So you have a platform as an author, which you can speak from. You can now talk about your journey and your book. So do you think there's a difference between a pedestal and a platform? What do you think?
Yeah, I haven't thought about this, but yeah, it makes sense. And Simon Whitfield told me that actually that people putting him on pedestal really makes him feel isolated from everyone else, because everyone feels like he's so famous and so well achieved that people actually tell him stories about him, or they tell stories what he has experienced because they read about it in the news. So it actually makes him be a part of everyone else. So for him, this being on pedestal really made it difficult for maybe for the family life. Being we want to be feeling a sense of belonging and not be a part. So I guess we have to find the balance between leading and following. And when you're on a pedestal, you're just leading and you're maybe isolated. So yeah, I'm sure this platform is important. And I think in the Indian language they talk about gurus. A guru is actually one that sheds light on something, and as an author, when you speak your voice, you shed light on something, so you become a guru of some sort. But that's not connected to ego. It's just when you share your experience, you become a leader in your field.
Yeah, and I kind of see a pedestal. If we think about like the Olympics, and when you stand on the pedestal to get your medal, it's you by yourself on the gold medal pedestal. There's only one person there, so it's very small area to stand on, and a platform seems bigger,
yes.
Like more room for more people, right? So it's kind of a thing. I kind of compare the two, and I think there's more room on a platform. So being an author, you can then reach out to people, and people feel welcome on your platform, where a pedestal seems really small.
Yes.
So I like the conversation. I like that.
Yes.
It's interesting.
That's very interesting.
So, okay, so you write the book, you get to talk to all these great people. Did you kind of come through the process and you start thinking differently than you did before you start writing the book, after you start talking to all these people?
Yes, totally. And so in the beginning, I didn't know what success and fulfillment really means. So I just asked people that I thought, from my perspective, that would be successful and fulfilled. And then I reached out to those individuals. Maybe I had a list of 300 people. I reached out to them. And some of them replied. And I was surprised at how many replied, how many were wanting to speak with me. I was a nobody. I didn't, it was my first attempt at the book. So I didn't have any following. So I was just going out there and telling my personal story, and people would connect with that and resonate with that. So I started speaking to people, and in every interview I asked them, what are people that inspired them? And maybe I've heard of the 6 degrees of 6 degrees of connecting. The 6 degrees of separation. Sorry, I forgot the word just now.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from a game with Kevin Bacon, who is connected to Kevin Bacon in Hollywood, because he was playing in so many roles. So every actor is connected to him. So that was kind of the principle behind. I thought if I would interview someone and ask them for their 3 most inspiring people that they know, I would be able to reach anyone. So, and that's how it happened. So from the 60 interviews I did, or over 60, I only knew 4 in person, and all the others were recommended to me, or I reached out to them through the media. And yeah, so what I learned is that through a personal story, we can connect with anyone. And that there was one powerful lesson I had. The other one is that, yeah, everyone is human, so they're open to have a conversation. It's not, they take their time, like John Mattone, executive coach, leadership coach of the late Steve Jobs. He took 2 hours of his time to talk to me. Wow. So it became like a personal MBA for me. I had conversations with Olympic champions, artists, entrepreneurs, authors, whoever. So it was amazing. Even a Buddhist monk, and I actually reached out to His Holiness Dalai Lama to get an interview, and he told me, or his office told me, that he wouldn't be available for an interview. And then the office connected me with a Buddhist monk, abbot, that has been studying Buddhism since he was 13. So it was almost 50 years. And he said, Dalai Lama said that this person was one of the most, established people in this community. So it was really amazing to hear the wisdom of those people.
Wow, that's amazing. I love this. So Marcel, there's somebody who wants to write a book like this. They want to talk to people, interview people, and then write a book about it. And they have no idea where to start. They have no idea how to do what you've done. What is your suggestion now that you've done all this work to write the book, done all the interviews, collected all the information? What would you tell an author that wants to write a book like this that might make it a little easier for them that you didn't know when you started writing your book?
Yeah. So I in the book I talk about flow, and I was in the flow while writing this book. Not all the time, but mostly. And there was not so much planning. It was just like a calling. This idea came to me of writing a book, and the title, Achievers, 1,000 Ways to Success and Fulfillment. And then I just ran out there and did interviews. And as I mentioned, John Mattone, I did an interview. That was the first interview I did. I didn't even have a recording device. So I afterwards, I tried to take notes. We spoke for 2 hours. And then because he talked about vulnerability, I reached out to him again and said, I'm really sorry, I messed up. I didn't record the interview on my notes. I cannot even read them because I tried to write so fast. So then he said he would be in Switzerland, and we met at the hotel bar, and we had cappuccinos, and we spoke for 2 hours. So wow. Yeah, there is a balance between freedom and planning, or freedom and structure. So I would advise anyone who wants to write a book like that, maybe put some planning into this. I had the questions, I had the idea of what I wanted to write. So I had a little bit of a plan, but not enough. So I was really unprepared, but I was really passionate. And I think the fire is what got me so many conversations, because the people liked the story. They liked what I wanted to do with this book. The mission of this book was to inspire the family and everyone who loses someone to continue their life, and actually that it's not over. As long as you live, it's not over.
Yeah.
And
did you have the same basic questions that you asked everybody, or did you kind of change the questions depending on your guest?
No, I had 10 questions. There were simple questions, simple, not easy. There were simple, powerful, deep questions. So what's your dream? What's your vision? This kind of big questions. So it was always the same 10 questions. And so in the end, it was really hard to figure out how to put those interviews together. And as I said in the beginning, I thought that I didn't have any message to share. It was just me collecting those answers. And within that 7 years, I realized that actually what makes this book really valuable is my story that connects all those stories. So it became more my hero's journey of, setting out on this journey of writing this book about Unthinkable, which my journey of not having an idea of writing a book was unthinkable.
Yeah.
So, and
then the other part too is do you have any relationships with the people you talk to, like after, like have you talked to them since, or do you have any contact with some of the people you spoke with?
Yeah, with many of them, I had I still speak on and off.
Good.
But maybe what the other lesson I would like to share is I took so much time to write this book. So it was 7 years because I went through, the waves of life. I had wipeouts. I experienced many things that really, really took me a lot of time to write the book. And I would tell people it's not the writing that takes a lot of time. It's actually the not writing that takes the most time. When you think about when you have a project like this, now I would approach it differently. Now I would just set up a space of maybe, I don't know, a month or 2 months or 3 months and just write the book. But in that time when I was writing that book, I was so excited about this conversation. I was so inspired by those people that I couldn't sleep at night. And the interviews I would usually do, because they were from worldwide, so I would do them at night when the family was sleeping. And I couldn't get to bed because I was so inspired. And I almost felt ashamed that I was so excited about this when the family was in mourning, and I had my biggest, my greatest adventure that I was on.
Yeah. Did you have feedback from family and friends who were with you celebrating the life of this family member, who then read the book and had some inspiration from what was in your book?
No, actually, the book that I wanted to publish was never published, because then then I went into we separated, and so then I could no longer write about this family member, because was just the family that I split from. And so actually the book that came out is not the one that I started writing.
Interesting. So you're writing one book and then things changed and now you're doing something different.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you transferred between one to the next.
The interviews were still the same, but in the original interviews of 60 people that I interviewed, only 20 are mentioned. Everyone is mentioned in the book, but the answers or parts were only out of 20 interviews, because I just shifted so much personally from where I started to after 7 years. And as you know, in science, they say within 7 years, every cell of the body changes. So actually in 7 years, you become a totally different person. And this is what happened to me. And maybe the Alchemist of Paulo Coelho. And this is kind of my journey that I was on, the shepherd that was looking for, going out to find answers, wisdom, and wanting to find the treasure. And actually, in the end, he found it where he was at his birthplace. And so the treasure I found within, so the wisdom was within. I found that actually I have a lot of answers. And this was not this person that passed away that initiated this. I have been thinking about these questions all my life. And this event just brought it to the surface.
Wow.
And actually going full circle. So when I was 18, I came back from California and I wrote a paper about the surfing culture. And I actually did interviews with different surfers. So the same format that many years later, I used the same format of interviewing. So I had been writing. And I remember me talking about surfing, and I said at 18, surfing is the unification of body and soul. And now the book, Unthinkable Life Teachings from a Soul Surfer, is really about the teaching from surfing and the ocean. So it came full circle. But that's a long story. When you experience wipeouts, it can change the trajectory of your life, your whole life.
Wow. I love your connection with surfing culture, Switzerland, meeting all these amazing people and having time in their calendar to have a drink or have a conversation and use that information to write a book. I love how you pull from so many different things as inspiration. Is that maybe one of the keys for an author, is to pull from different things to inspire you to write your book?
Yeah, I think that helps to just be really curious when you're an author. Just go out there and wanting to learn more and wanting to experience and to feel deeply. And it's maybe not so much about me, my experience, but just in general the reflections of life. So a great inspiration for me is the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, which is so powerful because Marcus Aurelius was an emperor, the Roman emperor 2,000 years ago. And so he was the most powerful man of his time. And what remains of his legacy is actually his meditations, his thoughts about life, about observing how a bread cracks open in the oven, or how the mist looks like, or he just observed the experiences of the human experience, and maybe he's just dust, and it doesn't matter if he was a Roman emperor, but what really matters is the unique experience that you experience that becomes universal for everyone else.
And capturing those words and writing them down and sharing them, that's how our legacy lives on. Like here we are talking about Marcus Aurelius, and he would have never have thought maybe the impact of his words at the time, but he knew he had to document them, just like you.
Yeah.
You don't know the impact of your words in this project, but it's helping people and people are connecting with it, which is good.
Yeah, which is really interesting about Marcus Aurelius. He actually didn't write the book to publish it. He just wrote it. It was his journal over 19 years of being in war, different war places in Europe throughout the Roman Empire. He just wrote down his thoughts. So it's really it's a diary. It's his thoughts, and he didn't write to please to anyone. So that's why it's so powerful.
Yeah, I love it. And you're continuing to write. Life throws curveballs, and we're busy, but you're still writing. You're still working your way through that. Talk about some of the things you're dreaming about as an author, and maybe some of the projects you're working on right now, even though they're early.
So my book Unthinkable talks about flow, being in flow, and right now I'm training to write in flow state. So and that's the next book, or I started writing in November, and I took 21 days to write this book, and just in flow state. So meaning I set the intention, and then I just write for 1 hour, 1.5 hours each morning. So just straight from bed, I get up and just write with an intention. And this, similar to the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, it's just whatever comes from the experience, from the human experience. So this is what excites me now, to see how fast can I write a book that is meaningful. And the book is not about me, it's just about reflection about life. So similar to the meditation. And it doesn't even mention my experience specifically. I just wanted to see what's possible in 21 days, if I can write a book in 21 days. So I've written 21 days, and now I have to go back there and finish it. Maybe with another 21 days, this will mean like in a little over a month, I could complete the book. And
wow.
So it's really possible when you're not thinking about the book in a process way, but more following your intuition and moving out from the left brain thinking, process-driven thinking, to the intuition, the intuitive mind, then it's incredible how fast you can write, and you can write words that you didn't even know that you had inside. It's amazing.
You're almost in that moment a passenger instead of driving and being in charge. You're almost like a passenger kind of watching it happen, I guess. Is that right?
Yes, it's kind of unfolding in front of your eye, and it's not from you, it's through you. So it's really detaching from the ego, not about, oh, it's my book. And I even thought about, not even mentioning the name of the author, just because it's not really from me, it's through me.
Amazing. I love it. That's a great way for people to practice and being in the habit of writing anyway.
Yes.
Whether they use what they've written as a book, or just the process of writing and being a writer and getting your thoughts out on paper. And like you said, being that kind of conduit, letting things go through you. And then even if you stop and then you go over and work on your book, you're just in the practice of writing all the time. And that, I think that would help build up your abilities to write a good product as a book, or translate what you're writing in the moment. It's an amazing practice. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, the practice is really good. I was surprised how much better I got in writing, just this practice. And people talk about writer's block as long as you are in the flow state. There is no writer's block. It just flows out.
Do you, as a writer, maybe in your early days, did you have any limits where you felt like you could write to a certain limit and then you couldn't go past that limit? Not really writer's block, but maybe how good you were as an author and how much you had practiced. Like, I feel like there's got to be some kind of limit that as you write over a long period of time, you get to go past that limit and you get to be a little bit, things become easier, or things are a little bit more clear for you. Did you have any limits in the early days that you've kind of pushed through?
I have a lot of limitations. I always felt I was not good enough. I remember my German teacher telling me that I'm far below average of writing skills in my German class. And yeah, this really stays with you when someone, a authority figure, tells you at the age of, I don't know, 18 or 16 or 17 that you're rubbish at writing. You cannot write. This really stays with you. So I never thought of myself as a writer. I think of myself as an author, just someone that gets something out. This is an author. But in this process of writing 21 days, you start being a writer, actually, because you just write and get out the message, and you're surprised how well the structure is in this writing. When you're in flow state, all the stories that are told have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that comes naturally. You don't need a lot of structure. You don't need process thinking to write the story like this. It happens naturally. We are all storytellers, and from the earliest ages of our species, that's how we transfer the knowledge from one generation to the next, from one family, from one tribe to the next. So it's within all of us. And the only one that stops you from being in flow is yourself. So your ego stops you from being in flow. You're thinking of, I'm not good enough, I'm this and that. And when you're in flow, so that's the easiest way is just after you wake, just go straight to the computer or take a notebook and start writing, because then you're still in that dream space. You're not in the ego and in the what you have to do, what you have to get done. So I would advise, if you want to practice flow state writing, do it in the morning. And the same you can do with speaking. You can take a recording device and just think of a word like butterfly and just speak about butterfly for for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, 5 hours. It's amazing what you can do when you just set the intention and then just let it flow.
I love it. Oh, okay. So Marcel, I know people are going to want to buy your books and connect with you and know more about you as an author and all the great things you're doing. I have another question to end off our conversation today, but before we go with that last question, as far as contacting you and reaching out to you, where your books are available now and in the future, where do we go and how do we connect with you as a listener?
So my book is on Amazon. It's available in as a paperback on Audible, on all audiobook platforms. What else? On Kindle as well. And you can reach out to me on Instagram at Unthinkable Mastermind. That's my Instagram. That's what I use mostly to talk about the book and share knowledge about the book. Or LinkedIn, my name, Marcel Kuhn. That's the LinkedIn profile. Yeah. So that's how you can reach out. And I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to inspire you to write in flow state. And become the limitless potential that you are. Every one of us has this inside. You don't have to be a writer, but you have amazing potential to create. If it's art, if it's speaking, messages, storytelling, whatever it is, it's limitless.
And maybe, Marcel, down the road, you can write a book about writing in flow space so that we can also learn how to do that. And you could teach us as you learn as well. That would be great. So one more book idea. Let's add it to the list. We need that from you in the future too. So think about that.
Yes.
I love it. Okay. So as our last question, as we exit out, Marcel, for you as an author, what do you think would be a good lesson if you were invited onto a campus university, a college, or to speak to a young audience who are dreaming of writing for whatever, writing books, writing for whatever, and they're looking for inspiration from an author? You've been asked to come and speak in the class. What would be your topic for that conversation with that class? What would you want them to know as an author? You're up at the front of the room. We're all sitting here. We've got our notes. We're ready to write. And you're the teacher, guest speaker today. What is your lesson for us as an author? What would you like to tell us and teach us?
So the lesson is you can create your dream reality, your unthinkable reality in 21 days. If you choose a skill or habit or a book topic and that you commit half an hour or an hour each day, you can create your dream reality in just 21 days. If you commit every day, if you show up, and if you're really in flow state for this time, you can change your whole life just within 21 days.
That's it.
Simple.
That's it. Very simple.
The commitment is difficult, but it's what you can achieve is amazing. You can create a movie in that time. You can write a book. You can create the album, whatever it is. If you set the intention and then just show up each day, it's amazing what you can do in that time.
Awesome. Very inspirational, Marcel. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for doing this, Marcel. And again, we're going to send everybody to you through the show notes. We'll have links to your Instagram and your LinkedIn and everything as well, so people can connect with you directly. And I just want to say thank you. And you are going to come back for another podcast. We're going to have you on another show called Dad's Base to talk to you there, which I'm so excited
Me too.
to have you come over there as well. So I get the opportunity to talk to you twice, which makes me happy. But again, keep us in mind in the future as new projects come out and you want to come back and talk about those with the Living the Next Chapter audience. Would love to get an update from you in the future and follow your journey as an author. So again, thank you so much for doing this and joining me from Switzerland. It's a joy for me.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here. An honor. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for checking out the latest episode of Living the Next Chapter. I'm so happy to bring on these amazing authors and to share their stories, but I do have to confess I have a problem. And people who know me best would say, Dave, you have more than one problem. My problem is I have more episodes than I can release to you through my audio host, but I have a solution for you. Oh yes, head over to our YouTube channel. Subscribe today to our YouTube channel, and you can get the most recent episode. I'm posting this episode today that I recorded today, and you can get it now on YouTube. Jump the line, move right past that big burly guy at the door. You can get right in and get the most recent episode of Living the Next Chapter on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go there. livingthenextchapter.com has all the information. And again, I want to thank you for making this podcast such a great joy to create. Catch you on the next one.
Hey there, fellow parent. If you're anything like me, balancing screen time for our kids is a constant struggle. That's why I want to share a little secret with you, KidsPod. It's this amazing app I found that's packed with podcasts just for kids. Imagine stories, learning, and fun, all without the screen. It's been a game changer in our house, keeping my kids engaged and their imaginations running wild. And guess what? It's completely free. So download KidsPod today. Trust me, it's a decision you won't regret.